Good happy Friday morning, January 4th, 2019. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Let's begin. First up, Sununu calls for bipartisanship, unveils college tuition program in inaugural address. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9, Adam Sexton.
Are you ready to hit the open road this year? It begins at Country Camper. We've got a new name. As a Republican chief executive with a newly Democratic legislature, Governor Chris Sununu is looking to strike a bipartisan balance in his second term. In his inaugural address, he quoted from popular literature.
A very smart man once said, "It is our choices that show what we truly are, far more than our abilities." And that quote really rings with me. That wise man, I'm not going to lie to you, was Dumbledore from the Harry Potter series.
Sununu's choices for his second term include a new study on pediatric cancer in New Hampshire, $24 million in workforce investment, and an overhaul of the state's foster care system, all while holding the line on taxes. The governor also unveiled a proposal for a tuition-free year of community college for in-state high schoolers.
Working with our community college system's existing funds, our students can now take advantage of an optional fifth year of high school. That will enable them to receive a high school diploma and a certificate and a college associate's degree free of cost to the student.
Democrats say they're ready to work with the governor on key issues.
The governor had a lot of points that we do agree with. For example, opioid crisis, dealing with mental health.
We're all here to do the business of the people of New Hampshire and make sure that we provide economic opportunities.
Republican leaders were encouraged to hear the governor is intent on protecting business tax cuts.
And I think that came through loud and clear, too.
Many of the details behind these proposals will be fleshed out in the governor's budget address next month. You can find much more on the inauguration from myself and WMUR political reporter John DeStaso on WMUR.com. Reporting live at the State House in Concord, Adam Sexton, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Sununu announced New Hampshire career academics model after Rochester program. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9, Cherise LeClaire.
We must provide additional pathways for students to simply harness their ability as an individual.
Governor Chris Sununu announcing that new pathway today with New Hampshire Career Academies. It will allow students to take an optional fifth year of high school. They can get their high school diploma, a certificate, and an associate's degree, all free of cost to the students and taxpayers using community college system money.
It comes with a guaranteed job interview with a manufacturer of choice. The revolutionary idea for the New Hampshire Career Academy is the result of the good work of Dean Graziano.
Seeing a community come together when asked and just saying, what do you need? That to me is the warm, fuzzy feeling.
About a year and a half ago, Dean Graziano came up with the idea for the program, allowing students to take their high school classes in the morning and then attend classes across the street at Great Bay Community College to gain their certificate in advanced composites manufacturing, keeping their debt down and working to retain a skilled workforce here in New Hampshire.
They're earning their high school diploma on June 14th, I believe the Friday, and then Monday they'll go get their advanced composite manufacturer, have a guaranteed interview at Safran, and are looking probably between 15 and 17 to start with full benefits and a third of their associate's degree paid for.
And just like the program here at Spalding High School, the New Hampshire Career Academies will also offer students a guaranteed interview after they complete the program with a company here in New Hampshire. In Rochester, I'm Charisse LeClaire, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Lawyers for former inmate ask judge to throw out state's pay to stay lawsuit. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9, Andy Hirschberger.
Eric Cable has filed a medical malpractice suit against the state of New Hampshire, claiming that while he was serving time in prison for negligent homicide, he was improperly treated for diabetes and suffered vision damage. The state, in turn, wants Cable to pay for the costs of his incarceration, a bill the ACLU says will total more than $100,000.
I've never even heard of such a thing. So when they hit me with it, I felt it was just, punishment from them or some sort of retaliation.
Lawyers for the ACLU are asking the court to dismiss the state's claim against Cable, saying it's simply further punishment for a man trying to get back on his feet. The state disagrees, saying the law is clear that they can sue an inmate within 6 years of his release to help offset the costs of his detention. And this is not retaliatory in any way.
Well, I think you just heard the facts are undisputed. We have a former inmate. We're within the time frame, and we're simply looking to share the burden of the cost of incarceration.
Cable says he's now working 2 jobs as a cook, 6 days a week, and is also going to school. His lawyers say this statute is rarely used, and in this case is targeting a man who is looking for help through the courts.
These pay-to-stay statutes or cost of care statutes are one more hurdle that people coming out of prison have to overcome before they get back on their feet and become productive members of society, which is, I think, something that all of us want.
With the issue today under advisement, the Attorney General's office says it has filed 13 petitions under this law in the last 10 years. Reporting live, I'm Andy Hirschberger, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Nancy Pelosi leads as Democrats take control of House, ushering in diverse new classes. The 116th Congress gavelled into session Thursday, swashed in history, returning the first woman to the House Speaker's office and ushering in a diverse class of Democrat freshmen ready to confront President Donald Trump in a new era of divided government. Man who used gun to stop allegedly out of control driver worries about losing job. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9, Jennifer Crompton.
Ian Kelly describes how an out-of-control vehicle barreled by him along Islington Street as he drove to an Uber call New Year's Eve.
I thought this man might be having a medical emergency behind the wheel, and because there was no brakes, no brake lights, just full throttle.
He followed as it blew through an intersection and crashed into a restaurant. When he got out to help, he says the crashed truck was revving in reverse as another Good Samaritan pulled up behind it.
That's when the man in the pickup truck looked back and said, I'll kill you, get out of my way.
Kelly says his instinct was to stop the man, so he pulled out the gun he carries, aimed it at the driver, and told him to turn off the engine.
I just simply looked at him and I said, do you understand how many people you could have killed tonight?
Police arrested 50-year-old Aaron Marconi, who allegedly sideswiped vehicles, hit businesses, and narrowly missed hundreds of pedestrians. He faces DWI and drug possession charges so far. After checking that Kelly's gun was legal, police thanked him, but he still has one concern.
I understand there's a zero tolerance for firearms with Uber, so I don't know later on what's going to happen.
Are you afraid you could lose your job?
Yeah.
Kelly drives 5 nights a week for Uber, mostly here in the Portsmouth area. In fact, he went on to work several more hours New Year's Eve. He says that's when the emotional impact of what happened really hit him. Live in Portsmouth, Jennifer Crompton, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Apple woes show U.S. and China are taking hits in trade war, and that could push them to make a deal. The U.S. and China have a better chance of striking a trade deal now that the U.S. is beginning to feel a bigger pinch from the trade war after Apple's earnings warning and a sharp drop in U.S. manufacturing activity, economists said. There is a window of opportunity to strike a deal before the U.S. economy weakens further and China comes out of its slump later in the year, said one global economist. U.S. officials see signs of progress in trade negotiations ahead of formal talks next week and see a weaker Chinese economics as it castigates for it to join talks. House votes to end partial government shutdown despite White House veto threat. House Democrats took their first major legislative votes of the new Congress, approving 2 measures to end the 13-day partial government shutdown, despite a presidential veto threat. Though both measures are expected to stall in the Senate, newly minuted House Speaker Nancy Pelosi rolled out approving any funding towards the president's $5.6 billion request for a physical barrier at the southern border, renewing the impasse that led to the shutdown last month. And that does it for the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Goodbye, everyone.